I'm about to do a comedy entertainment show. Usually we do it on the stage, but this time we did it in the hotel lobby. It's quite an awkward scene to do a comedy show. You cannot really prepare for it properly. Everybody can see you when you change your outfits, and the tension is building up. As me and my friend and colleague go on the stage, we are performing our sketch with two Spanish Zorros. If you haven't watched the movie, it's like this sexy warrior. So we do our thing, we fight with each other, we scream, we make the joke, and usually after we do this joke, there is one round of applauses. People laugh, or at least they react. But in this situation, after we finished the sketch, people just stood like this. Poker faces everywhere, zero reaction, nothing. I remember having one of the worst feelings on a show. It felt like whatever I did, it didn't matter. It felt like I didn't matter as a person. And it felt completely shitty in my whole body. Because I tend to be a little bit impulsive, I said to my friend, let's just finish the show. Of course, we cannot do it because we are working. If you're a bartender, you cannot just stop working because our customer was rude to you. But after 5 to 10 minutes, after continuing to do the show, I didn't care anymore. This feeling was gone. As every other feeling, it is temporary. Why I'm telling you this story is because this was the worst case scenario, and it happened in real life. It felt really bad, but it went away surprisingly fast. When it comes to social situations, and not only, but mainly to social situations, people have huge amount of fear. One of the most common fears is the fear of public speaking, and for a reason. But what is the worst case scenario that could happen? Probably something like I experienced. Even I would say, even boo is better than this. Really. Zero reaction from the crowd. It feels like whatever you do, it doesn't matter. But yet, it's not something so dangerous. It's not something so bad. Of course, it's bad. Of course, it could go good. But it's not something so painful. And that's what I'm trying to explain you in this video. Even the worst case scenario that in your head you're overthinking, overanalyzing is not so bad. And this is usually the type of thinking that is crippling our action. This is why we don't start taking action in the first place, because we're afraid of the worst case scenario. But what if I told you that whatever you're struggling with right now, whatever you're fearing or overanalyzing, imagine the worst case scenario. How would you feel experiencing this worst case scenario? Go into the emotions. Try to accept the worst case scenario. And once you accept the worst case scenario, you see that it's not so much the scenario that is scaring you. It's more the feeling that is going to bring you. And if you just go into the feeling and let it go, you not have this intense fear of this worst case scenario anymore. Of course, you wouldn't want it to happen, but you would be kind of okay if it happened. And once you're okay with the worst case scenario, you release this pressure that is making this worst case scenario happen in the first place. Let this land, because this is something very deep. Once you remove the pressure behind you performing your best and avoiding the worst case scenario, you make the worst case scenario much less likely to happen. That's so interesting. But if you're okay with the worst case scenario, if you're okay, let's say, embarrassing yourself on the stage, then when you go on the stage, you feel completely free. And you're much more likely to give a better performance. I give this example all the time because I know that that's what guys struggle with. If you imagine approaching a girl and going very bad, she's rejecting you, she's saying you're an idiot, go away from me, you creep, or something like that. Imagine this. It feels very bad, right? But once you accept this, once if you're kind of okay with this, you're even willing to laugh at yourself about this. Then when you go up to this girl, you'll not care so much. And when you not care, you'll be more free, you'll be able to express yourself and your intention, and the likelihood of this going well is much higher. Or you make a YouTube video, you're scared that you're going to be boring, you're going to embarrass yourself, everybody's going to laugh at this video. Okay, but if they laugh, if you embarrass yourself, then what? In this particular case, embarrassing yourself, people will remember for 3 days. We have one saying in Bulgarian, every wonder for 3 days. No matter what happens, in 3 days it's forgotten, people move on. And you embarrass yourself on the YouTube video, then what? You move on, you continue, and the worst case scenario is not so bad. Every fear of ours, it looks much worse in our heads than it actually is. Much, much, much worse. And if this fear happened in real life, you'll see that it's not such a big of a deal. It really isn't. And what I'm advocating you to do is to try to go into the worst case scenario. If that's what you're struggling right now, go into the worst case scenario in your head, obviously, and try to be okay with it. Try to accept it. And once you accept it, you're not going to manifest it as you probably think. Quite the opposite. You're going to let go of this pressure that is making this worst case scenario happen in the first place. The law of attraction is not so much that what you're thinking, I'm thinking, my goal. It's more of that when you accept a certain reality, you remove the pressure behind it. But what I actually advocate you to do is quite the opposite of law of attraction. Law of the shittiest moment, let's say. You try to visualize the shittiest moment, you try to be okay with it, and once you're okay with it, your behavior will change, and you act in a way that is going to make the best case scenario much more possible. Embarrassing yourself, then what? It's all an ego thing anyways. But yes, guys, worst case scenario, imagine that is going to happen. Try to accept it and be okay with it. See what feelings come up, try to let them go. Try to understand that this is only feelings, because feelings is what is behind the scenes. You're not so much afraid about the situation, about this girl rejecting you, about the crowd not giving you any attention. As I mentioned to you in the story, the feeling was very bad. I felt like I don't matter. And this was what was so bad about the situation. These people, I don't remember a single face from this crowd. This show, I think once a year about it, and without any emotional pressure behind it. I tell you like a funny story. And that's how it should be. I hope this video was helpful. And if you want to do the work, click the first link down in the description.